Time for Media Watch now, and Emma James is with us in the studio. Hi there, Emma. We're starting over in Japan. People there remembering the darkest days in the nation's history today.
Yes, absolutely. And online it seems that everyone really wants one thing: to ensure that this world event isn't forgotten and isn't repeated. For many, it's about remembering the suffering of ordinary Japanese people who were caught up in this global war. And it's a magazine from 1946 that really seems to do this best, and it's being shared very widely on social media today. The New Yorker published this article, and it actually took up the entire magazine. A 31,000 word long article, this one. Hiroshima, written by John Hersey. It's the tale of 6 survivors, which filled the entire edition, as I said, described by many as the finest example of American journalism of the 20th century. Now, it was later published again as a book, and it's been republished to mark this particular anniversary as well. It begins with the fear that people experienced as concerns were mounting that Hiroshima was due to be the next target of the American bombing campaign, which had already brought so much destruction to Japan. And it goes on to have them all describe that bright flash that we've all heard about before, that came with an absence of sound, bizarrely. And they talk about how they were either thrown through the air or then buried beneath the rubble of collapsed buildings. Now, one story in particular features a doctor who describes the fact that his glasses and his shoes were blown off. And he was actually the only medic at the hospital who remained uninjured. And so he spent the next 3 days treating horribly maimed and dying people on just 1 hour's sleep, because there were so few people there to help the wounded and the dying. One of the most distressing facts about this, he talks about people who were newly blind because their eyeballs had actually melted. It's a painful detail to describe, but if you leave it out, it almost sanitises what actually happened there.
And of course, there are numerous witness accounts, aren't there, of survivors and people who did go on to become very sick later on.
Absolutely. The other thing that the New York Times is reporting on in particular is that some of the survivors now are being assigned denshosha, and those are official guardians of their memories. Now, this is one gentleman who has a denshosha, Hiromi Hasai. He was 14 when the bomb dropped. All of his classmates were killed in that blast. He escaped the same fate because of the war effort. He was actually learning how to make machine gun bullets at a factory 10 miles outside of Hiroshima. So that's one story that is going to be kept alive because of this project that's relatively new in Japan. Now, aside from the scenes of destruction, another image that's circulating widely is this cartoon, which was first published 10 years ago, but is just as pertinent today. A small child asking his father, while watching images of what happened in Hiroshima, which terrorist group did that?
Right. Pretty serious day for people in Japan. And of course, the bomb on Nagasaki was dropped just a few days later. So terrible time there. All right, let's move on. Tonight, Americans will be tuning in to see the first televised political debates. This ahead of the election next year. It's the Republicans, all of them getting together for a big fight tonight. Donald Trump, though, reality TV star, is the man going to take all the headlines, people are saying.
Yes, well, he already is. We've got 10 presidential hopefuls, 2 hours of televised debating, and one big mouth who looks set to dominate all proceedings. Comb over, cat on his head, who knows what that is. Politico describes Donald Trump as the brashest and most unpredictable candidate in the field. But what they're saying really boils down to this one thing: he's at his most dangerous if you attack him. And what they say is that if the others aren't too combative, then they play nice, then he'll actually not be too bad for them to handle. The other candidate who's likely to face a great deal of scrutiny is, of course, Jeb Bush. He carries the legacy of that family name. And what Politico says is he's out of practice with this kind of thing.
Well, he's been saying that he's going to turn up tonight wearing his big boy pants.
He may need to. Well, fundamentally, he's the candidate with the most to lose because he's second in the polls at the moment to Donald Trump. There's a lot of expectation resting on him. Now, the Daily Beast, according to them, brace yourselves, it's going to be a bloodbath. Matt Lewis says it's possible that while everyone on stage has been counting on the fact that Trump is going to turn up as Trump the entertainer, he might actually pull the rug out from underneath all of them and turn up as Trump the statesman, or at least what Trump believes a statesman should be. So we'll have to wait and see if he's going to embrace his front-runner status or if he's going to return to his usual kind of behaviour.
I think it's going to be good TV either way. And talking of good TV, Jon Stewart is presenting his final episode of The Daily Show tonight.
Yes,
cult classic. No
people are taking to Twitter to wish him Jon Voyage. It's a hashtag that is being used very widely today. People tweeting messages like this: when someone smart, funny and earnest achieves great success and makes a difference, it helps restore faith in humanity.
Oh dear, it's just a comedian, isn't he? Come on.
Well, you think that, but people really are giving him the kind of plaudits that you normally only get once you've passed away. It is quite a rarity, this one. Newspapers getting in on the act with front pages featuring him and the hashtag Jon Voyage. The New York Times is also talking about the fact that they're sad to see him go just as this presidential race is getting into the starting blocks. They say tonight's Republican debate is the perfect Jon Stewart moment. They also mentioned that he only had 350,000 viewers when he first started The Daily Show in 1999, or took it over. He then built the viewership to 1.6 million a night at its height. That was in 2008, 2009. So
network executive's dream, isn't it?
Absolutely. It most certainly is, and we'll have to wait and see what he actually says tonight.
Yeah, and big shoes to fill for the guy coming in after him. All right, Emma, thank you very much indeed. Emma James there with Media Watch.